Welcome everyone to the most powerful masterclass for building, protecting, and restoring your immune system. How to become number one at the art of number two. This is a 7-day event that will change your life for the rest of your life. This masterclass will run from Tuesday, September the 29th until Sunday, October the 4th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with a live Q&A with me on Wednesday, October 7th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, and docofdetoxshow.com. If you do not have a chance to watch this life-saving, life-changing masterclass, you will be able to join it for free for a limited time. Please go to the docofdetox.com. So go to docofdetox.com, then click at the top on Library, and then click on the A to Z Wellness Master Classes Guide. Once you click on there, you will have a choice of 2 master classes: Healing Your Muscles, Joints and Organs, Wolf Non-Surgical Bodywork Masterclass, or How to Become Number One at the Art of Number Two. Uncover and discover the practitioner from within and become the healer you seek. Enjoy my gift to you and pay it forward. God bless. Welcome everyone to the Holy Grail of Masterclasses. Are you ready to learn how to become number one at the art of number two? Which, by the way, every parent and human being needs to understand from the inside out and the bottom up. The art of number two is the game changer. So join the game and answer the Q&As in each show so that you become number one at the art of number two. Understand what comes out matters. Your bowel movements are a computer printout. They are the best diagnosis on a day-to-day basis for creating the perfect day for the perfect life. Welcome to the greatest show on earth, the art of number two. So pull up a toilet, make yourself comfortable, and prepare to flush the pounds and lighten the load on all levels. Good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Darryl Wolf, and welcome to the Art of Number Two Masterclass. Who would have ever thought that we could put a whole masterclass together on the art of number two? But understand something. Whether you want to believe this or not, your bacteria, make up at least 85% of your immune system. But isn't that just the funniest thing? Your bacteria make up 85% of your immune system, which means that your large intestine is the holy grail. It is the master of all the organs in the body. It is the controller. If that's the truth, then why aren't we taught to respect it, to honor it, and to treat it like a garden? Because if we treat it like a garden, then we will only harvest great health. If you take a look at the average person, you'll see that their abdomen goes up and down like an accordion because they don't know how to respect the good bacteria that's in their large intestine. That is 85% of their immune system. And is it their fault? Absolutely not. Because that's the one thing. We have been fooled, ruled, and schooled from the very beginning. Listen, my mother was given a manual of deception from her mother, and her mother was given one from her mother. Because the further that we go away from nature and the more that we get into corporate, and understand something, it's now food corporations that are controlling almost all the food that we eat. But are they feeding us or are they mistreating us? You need to ask yourself that. And understand something, the closer you get back to nature, the more vibrant you're going to be. So let's talk about this for a second. So the majority of the population, are eating what we call the normal diet. Take a look at this slide, the art of number two. So what I'm trying to say is the majority of the population, are eating what they call a normal diet, and they have normal health, and all of that is just a grand illusion. Because I'm telling you right now, the majority of the population is constipated. Now, constipation doesn't mean you don't go to the bathroom. Constipation means that everything doesn't come out. How often were you on the bathroom, grunting, groaning, straining? How often do you feel bloated? How often do you have cramps? How often do you get heartburn? How often do you feel like just a little bit more could come out? Well, understand something. You have been programmed to constipate yourself. Now here's the deal. When you constipate yourself, you absorb your waste. How else could the body become toxic unless you are absorbing some kind of waste into the body? We'll be getting to that more. But from the very beginning, we were fooled about our diet. And our diet has become a riot. And it is actually changing our good bacteria into bad bacteria, which then, if you take a look at the next picture in the middle, it inflames our emotions. Don't tell me that when you are not feeling pain in your abdomen, in your pelvis, okay, that it doesn't cause pain throughout the body. And how much can we take? All right. I know people right now that just because of constipation, they don't believe that they can go on living. You heard what I said. I'm going to prove to you that the large intestine is the holy grail. And if you look after the large intestine, it'll look after the whole body. It is the most important organ. So what happens is when you get constipated, infection comes into the body. And just like a pinball, physical to emotional, emotional to physical, it keeps bouncing back and forth. And yes, we've been ruled. And we've been ruled this way, that we have subconscious, unconscious programs. And those programs are attacking us on an emotional level. Most of us have never been taught how to master our emotions. So if you don't know how to master your emotions, if you don't know how to stay connected to your breath, if you don't understand that you must not take action every time you have a reaction, when something happens and you get stressed out, that creates more acidity in your body, more acidity for the bad bacteria. And if you have a bad diet, okay, and you have bad moods, and you put those together, your life is going to be in crisis. And that is what's happening today, and especially with the situation that's going on around the world today. So now, constipation creates inflammation. I think you get that. And that inflammation plays on your nerves, plays on your emotions. And guess what happens then? Well, that inflammation turns into a painful situation. And that's why right now, okay, we are a nation of inflammation. We are an inflammation nation. And when we become an inflammation nation, which all started back with our food and not being able to rule our emotions or master our emotions, that takes us where? Take a look at the last part of this slide. We call it healthcare, but it's emergency care. And who would ever believed that we could actually program the majority of North Americans actually that, guess what? Taking chemicals, by taking drugs, you will heal your body. Well, we've been ruled, schooled, and fooled because you cannot poison the body and think you're going to get a healing. I get it. I understand it. Sometimes we just can't take the pain. But the reality is pain is your GPS. And the reality is you wouldn't have pain if you didn't have inflammation. You wouldn't have inflammation if you didn't have infection. And you wouldn't have infection if you didn't have constipation. Now, I can take anybody's condition and circle back and prove that it's what you put in your mouth and what you put in your mind, and that your large intestine has become a landmine, and it is going off and blowing up all the time, and it's blowing up the rest of your body. It's even blowing you up with gas. How does that feel? So, let's understand something. The art of number 2 will change your life. It'll change your health. It'll change your emotional health and physical health, and it will help you to become the light you've always wanted to be. Because understand something. Don't tell me that being constipated and inflamed and having pain throughout your body isn't a distraction. Don't tell me that you can live your passion and purpose and continue like this, because we can't. And that ends today, right here. So what does every parent need to know? I'll tell you what every parent needs to know, is that they've been working off the wrong manual. And understand something. Right now, I know this, that my parents, they love me with all their heart, okay? Even though their life was always being torn apart on an emotional and physical level, because they didn't realize either that the manual that they were given was corrupted, contaminated, and conflicted. That's right. Because the manual was written for corporations and systems to rule the world, as if the world's not being ruled right now. So understand something right now. My God, for the love of the children, please understand something. When I was a child, okay, I used to have cramping and pain. And when I was only 8 years old, I would have blood and mucus in my stool. Now, do you think that I went and told my parents this? There's no way I was going to tell my parents this, because my parents were already fighting together. They were fighting all the time and bickering all the time. I'm not going to get into that today. But the reality is, I was scared. I was scared to tell them because I didn't want to cause them any more trouble, and I didn't want them to get rid of me. And whether you believe this or not, so many children are terrorized by their parents because guess what? Come on, parents are adulterated. I was adulterated. Do you know how hard I worked on trying to get rid of the adulteration, trying to find unconditional love for myself so I could have it for my children? Look at what every parent needs to know is this, is that every child needs to know that their bowel movements are a computer printout, and we need to teach our children what a good bowel movement is and what a good bowel movement isn't. What a good urination is, what a good urination isn't. But guess what? Parents don't even know that. You know what? Most parents just believe if you go once a day, once every 2 days, and then guess what? What if I had 3 bowel movements a day? You probably say to me as a child, you're doing great. But what if it was diarrhea? What if it was loose stool because I have irritable bowel syndrome, which almost every child has today because of the food they're eating? Because, hey, honey, do you want a treat? Honey, do you want a treat? Hey, let's go out to the restaurant. Let's have the kiddies meal. Okay, let's go through the drive-through. What every parent needs to know is this. Love is not enough. I don't care how much you love your child. If you don't want to do research on the food that you're feeding your child, then you're undermining your child's health no matter how much you love that child. And understand something. How to become number one at the art of number two is what every parent needs to know. But the reality is the parent doesn't even know that yet, and that's why this masterclass has to happen. This masterclass is going to create a foundation for every parent out there. And even if you're not a parent, if you're just somebody who would like to have the greatest bowel movements because you'd like to have the greatest health and live long and live strong, it's all in your poo because it's a computer printout, like I said. And understand something. Adulterated, constipated, mutated. No matter how much you love your child, okay? No matter how much pain and suffering that you have for that child, if you don't have the rules, if you don't know what creates life, what creates a good bowel movement, how to look after the front door to the back door with your child, then you are going to be driving down a highway, a very bumpy one, okay, with really quick right-hand, left-hand turns, and you're going to go off the road. Understand this, parents are beautiful, but here's the problem. They're adulterated. They're constipated. And they've got mutated thoughts when it comes to diet, when it comes to cleansing, when it comes to even looking after a child. I'm going to tell you something right now. When I became a parent, I didn't even know how to feed myself, less feed my child. Because either did my parents. So goes on the family curse. Now, what does this picture say to you right here? I want to tell you, if you don't think that things are adulterated and things aren't mutated out there when it comes to the way we're taught about our children, come on. This is 2 children, okay? 2 beautiful little children in a hospital, okay? And they're getting chemotherapy. Are you hearing me? I hope you're hearing this. And after chemotherapy, what do they get? They get cookies and they get Kool-Aid. Okay, so what does that do? Well, we know that anything that's processed sugar, has a right spin on it and it feeds cancer cells. We know anything that is sugar, natural from nature, has a left spin on it and it will not feed cancer cells. So don't tell me that they have our best interests at heart. And especially what would you do Okay? If I said to you that there is only a 2.31, okay, maybe 2.3 to 3% chance of anyone being alive after 5 years of getting chemotherapy. Well, for one thing, people will do it because they're so in fear and they've never been taught how to look after themselves. They don't even know how to have a good bowel movement. So let me ask you a question. Yeah, out of fear, you're going to send your children there. You're going to send yourself there. But here's the deal I want to ask you. If I was an accountant and I said that there's a 3% chance that I won't lose your money, would you have me as your accountant? If I was your mechanic and there was a 3% chance that I was going to fix your car, would you come to me? So understand something. It's not that we aren't intelligent beings. It's we've been programmed. And understand, when your subconscious is 90% of your brain, it can be retrained. It can be programmed. And we are programmed to what? Well, cancer. We've been programmed that cancer is a death sentence. And as soon as we say the word cancer and somebody has the word cancer in the family, everybody goes into fear mode. And when you go into fear, you do not think. You do not think. You get frozen in time. So let me make something perfectly clear. Like I already said, and I need to state this, okay? Parents love their children. They love their children with all their heart. They would die for their children. Actually, they are dying for their children. Parents are dying for their children because they're suffering so much because they have been adulterated. That's right. Parents do not know how to feed their children or look after their children. And it's not because you're not intelligent. It's not because you don't care. It's because you've been given the wrong information. Because whether you want to believe this or not, the information has been put together by a corporation, and the corporation has a bottom line, and the corporations that actually are in charge of feeding us and our health care, they don't have a beating heart. I don't even think they have a heart. So the reality is this. You have to do your own homework. You've got to take massive personal action. Understand, when I became a parent, I was adulterated. I was still constipated. And yes, I was mutating my children because I was feeding them foods that were corporately made, okay, that had all kinds of dyes and chemicals. They were GMOs. So I get it. But understand something. Don't dare try to tell me that the system's not rigged. Take a look at these two beautiful little children here. I mean, we know that they're getting chemotherapy, which is one of the most toxic therapies on the planet. I'm not saying that you should get it or don't get it, but the reality is, why would you go and give two children like this, beautiful children, chemotherapy, and then afterwards, right after they get it, you would give them Kool-Aid, which is sugar, and then give them cookies, which are sugar. And understand something. Man-made, okay, sugar, all right, has a right spin on it. And what it does, it feeds cancer cells. And then nature's sugars, like fruit, okay, things of that nature, have a left spin. And they don't feed cancer cells. So understand that. All I'm trying to say is, know who is really supporting you. And know this, that if your children are sick, it's not because you're sick and broken. It's because the system they gave you is sick and broken. Because your children will heal when you embrace nature. When you give the body chance to heal. Understand something. I don't know if you notice this or not. But children are given sugar at every point. Flour at every point. Chemicals at every point. Corporations live off our children. That's all I want to say. But you need to take this to heart. You need to go through your cupboards. You need to go through your fridge. And you need to get rid of all of those, what? So-called treats. Hey, if you're really good, mommy's going to give you a treat. So understand something. Every family needs a Braveheart hero. And that's the truth. Let me say something. I'm not telling you not to send your children to chemo. But just remember this. Chemo only has about a 3.3 success rate. Would you go to an accountant that only has a 3.3 success rate, or a mechanic or anything else? But we will do that because out of fear, because we have never been taught how to think properly, okay, eat properly, okay, live properly when it comes to our own health. right? Isn't it what they said? We'll take care of it for you. Yeah, they're definitely taking care of it. So understand, every family needs a Braveheart hero, and I hope that that's going to be you today. All right? And listen to me, all of you fathers out there, these Braveheart heroes better not just be mommies, okay? Because mommies are the caretakers of the world, but you fathers need to step up. You fathers should be protecting the home, making your home a love health zone. You should be checking everything that comes in. Is it toxic? Is it poisonous? Will this heal my family? And it doesn't matter what it is. So men, you need to step up to the plate, because I'll tell you something, a long time ago, okay? A long time ago, men used to go out and do the hunting. They would bring the food home. They would protect the home. Where are they today? Watching sports? Okay, eating tacos? What are they doing today? I'd like to know where the men are today. That's all I want to say. We need to step up to the plate, men. Okay? So understand, everybody, that this masterclass, The Art of Number 2, is to teach you one main thing. Life and death begin in the colon. And understand something. You have been taught to ignore it. You have been taught to turn your back on it. You can even look 3 to 6 months pregnant and be a man and have terrible gas, okay? Have no sex drive, okay? Have no energy, okay? Be grumpy and not even realize that it's your large intestine, your colon, that is the holy grail of your energy system, of your immune system. So, let's get this. The Holy Grail. 85% of the body's immune system is found in the large intestine. Look, we have a choice here, okay? To treat our bodies like a manure pile, which I'd say probably about 99% of the population's doing it, and they're doing it on an unconscious, subconscious level, so I'm not picking on anyone. Or we can treat our bodies like a beautiful garden. Okay? So take a look at this picture. Manure pile. If you're building up manure in there and you're not going to the washroom, then guess what? Then you're rotting inside. And if you're rotting inside, I've never seen a manure pile that wasn't a parasite party. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have fungus. Okay, your yeast is going to go into fungus. Your good bacteria is going to go into bad bacteria. And guess what? The worms are all going to come, because I've never seen a manure pile that didn't have worms. And the reality is where'd they come? Well, they were always there. The terrain, the inner terrain is everything. So if your inner terrain is a manure pile, you're going to have a parasite party. And understand something, you're going to have a lot more viruses, because viruses are caused from inflammation, and it's the leftover infection from your RNA and DNA. So, and viruses aren't alive. Where fungus is alive, bad bacteria are alive, and worms are alive, but viruses aren't. And the more viruses you get, or you supposedly catch, is the bigger your manure pile. And the less you know how to feed yourself correctly. Okay? But you could look at the large intestine as a compost, because understand something. Your large intestine is your second brain. So that is your large intestine. Your large intestine is so amazing. So here it is, everyone. Welcome to your harvest. What is your harvest going to be? Okay, is it going to be health and vitality, or is it going to be sickness and disease and a shortened lifespan? So you can either treat your body like a garbage can, or you can treat your body like a garden. And understand something, like I just said, guys, I truly get this. I know that it's not your fault. But guess what? I have a surprise for you. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility, because it's your body. Now, if I can say this, you said that you could come down to a planet and play a fun-filled, life-threatening game for the whole family, where you get ruled, schooled, and fooled, and then constipated. And then you could find your way out of that and become the hero of the story, become the Braveheart. And that's the game. And we're going to win this game today. All right, so here's the deal. Medical doctor or natural health doctor. If you go with the medical doctor, you're going with political pharma. And why do I say political pharma? Well, because the government doesn't work for you. So if you actually think that your government is going to give you this amazing diet and it's going to stop the poisoning from going on from corporations, okay, or from Monsanto or from anybody else, you have another thing coming. Your government was put together to work for the dark elite, okay, the deep state, if we want to call it that. So understand something, but that doesn't matter. Let them do what they want to do, okay? If you started focusing on being your own natural health doctor, going to nature's pharma and making choices like that, we'd put them out of work. We'd put them all out of work. You know what? The whole thing is there's so much going on around the world right now that we go to battle with things. I'm not going to battle with anything. I'm just going to make good choices. I mean, I just had a salad for lunch. I'm going to have a salad for supper. I'm going to do about a 30-minute workout tonight. I'm going to stay connected to my breath. No matter what goes on and what trauma they decide to actually try to rule and school and fool me with, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy the BS. And understand something. I do mean BS, everyone, okay? So I'm not going to buy the BS. And that means dysfunctional belief systems that they keep trying to pour out to us. All right, so everybody's heard of Louis Pasteur. And what did Louis Pasteur say before he passed away? I've been wrong. The germ is nothing. The terrain is everything. So understand something. What came first? Okay? The mosquito or the swamp? Well, the swamp came first, then the mosquito. Understand something. Did you ever see something? Did you ever have a bowl of fruit in your house and the fruit was starting to go bad? Well, when the fruit started to go bad, where did the fruit flies come from? Did they put out a message to the fruit fly kingdom and they flew in? No. Where did they come from? They were always on the fruit, but they didn't come alive and they didn't become a problem until the terrain was right. Then the bug came. So understand something. We keep chasing viruses. We keep chasing bad bacteria. We keep chasing fungus. But until you understand that the inner terrain of the body is everything, and that would be the health of your large intestine, first and foremost before any other organ. And I will prove that before the end of this masterclass. So let's get this. Terrain is everything. Just as they take pesticides and herbicides, okay, and they spray the foods unless it's certified organic, okay, this is the same thing they're doing to us. So you know what? Pesticides and herbs are like drugs. So they drug our food and then they drug us. And understand something. Do you know why you need the drugs? You need the drugs because of the drugs that they put in the foods. They drugged your food. Now you're in pain. Now you're going to drug yourself. So antibiotics equal pesticides and herbicides. So let's get this. So what am I saying? Well, pesticides and herbicides are not just killing the bad things, they're killing the good things in the soil. And when you kill the soil, then you weaken the food. When you take antibiotics, okay, you weaken your inner terrain by displacing your good bacteria. And then the more you damage your good bacteria, which is your immune system, 85% of it, then guess what? Then all the parasites come a-calling. And the only way that you're going to get those parasites to move out, okay, to pack up, to ship out, is to bring up the vibration of the tissue right down to the cellular level. And that, my friend, is the total truth. This is the end of part 1 of The Art of Number 2, but only the beginning of this life-changing journey. Can't wait to see you in part 2. The invisible creates the physical. Enjoy the show, everyone. The invisible creates the physical. Who would have thought that your thoughts matter? Who would have thought that thought form creates physical form? Enjoy the show, everyone. So, what's it going to be? Indoctrination? Indoctrination? Seriously. 4 pillars of emergency care. First of all, constipation, infection, inflammation. So what happens when that happens? Well, constipation, you reabsorb your own waste. That's the infection. Okay? Once you absorb the infection, you get inflamed. Come on, we all know that. That's just basic domino effect. Okay, from there, you get inflammation. So now you've got pain. And what do you want to do? You want to get rid of the inflammation. You want to get rid of the pain. So now you're going to drug yourself. But meanwhile, pain is a GPS. Pain was your friend. Pain is your God-given friend. If you didn't have pain, that feeling of pain when you're off track, you'd be dead already. So you go ahead and keep on trying to kill pain, and you're trying to kill yourself. And that's what we call autoimmune disease, right? An autoimmune disease is the body attacking itself. Oh, that would be you, because everything happens from the invisible before the physical. So here we go. Constipation creates the infection. Infection creates the inflammation. So now you need medication to dumb down the inflammation and the pain. And guess what? Now you're just becoming more contaminated. But what did they do before you were constipated? You wouldn't have been constipated if your beliefs weren't contaminated first. Because, like I said, invisible creates the physical. Okay? And then from there, guess what? Now you've went and taken the medication. So now you don't feel the pain. You don't feel the inflammation. But guess what? It's still going on in the body. It's just that now you've got what? A brain disconnection. So now your brain is not sensing the inflammation or the pain, even though it's still happening. Isn't that great? So now what's going to happen? Well, we're going to get a scar tissue issue. And then that scar tissue issue is going to build, and you're going to get more scar tissue, more displaced calcium from your bones, because you got to buffer down the inflammation. So now the calcium is going to come from your bones, okay? And the scar tissue is going to come, the fibrin, to try to create a wall so the inflammation doesn't spread. So now you've got a fibroid. Now you've got massive scar tissue. You might even have a tumor. So now you've got to have surgery. But guess what? What do we know? We know that when you have surgery, it creates more scar tissue than anything else. And understand something. When you start to get displaced calcium, when you start to get crystallization, okay, from the lactic and uric acid, when you get the displaced calcium from the bones and you start getting this physical block, it cuts down circulation. When you cut down circulation, you cut down nutrition. When you cut down nutrition, you cut down oxygen. You cut down the oxygen long enough and strong enough, you've got mutation. So now you're going to have mutation because the cells don't want to die and they want to live. So to live, they have to become something else. So now they have to live off of lactic acid. They have to live off of lactic acid. They have to live off of sugar because there's not enough oxygen around because you suffocated that area. So now you need chemo and radiation to fight the mutation. And welcome, because we are not a Braveheart nation anymore. We are an inflammation of pain and suffering. And this is all created from the domino effect of schooling. They ruled, schooled, and they fooled us. So let's get this. Medical care is emergency care. My daughter wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for emergency care. A lot of people too, but you shouldn't be going to the hospital only once a year. How many times should you be in an ambulance? Remember something. If you're going to the hospital and you can drive there, is that really emergency care? Or have you learned the golden rules? And that is, first we get constipated. And then we have infection, which creates inflammation. And inflammation creates pain. And then that creates crystallization, scar tissue formation, and calcification, and leads to everything else. And guess what? You don't even know how to look after yourself. So you've been graced this beautiful body from God above. And then they stole your body from you because they gave you that dysfunctional manual. But it was passed down from family member to family member. So what are you going to decide to be today? Do you want to be the family curse or the family blessing? I think I know which one. I really do. So, the medical model, 4 painful pillars. What you eat, think, and drink does not matter. We will keep an eye on that for you. Really? Thanks for that. What are you going to do? Live under my bed, behind my toilet? There is nothing else we can do for you. Go home and get your affairs in order because we've done everything. And guess what? They have. They have done everything. But we haven't started yet, because until you take massive personal action, you will never have your health, wealth, or anything else. You will never have a beautiful relationship with yourself or anyone else. You need to take massive personal action because guess what? You don't need to be treated. You need to be trained. Listen to me. You don't need a practitioner. You need to become your own practitioner. And that is how this game is played. That's how you win in this game. But understand something. If you don't believe me, then continue doing what you're doing. Go ahead, go shopping, get those frankenfoods, right? And those frankenfoods are made up of antibiotics, GMOs, and Roundup. Now, what do you think that those things do to undermine the large intestine? They tear your large intestine apart. They convert your good bacteria to bad bacteria. They take the yeast and change it into fungus. What else do they do? Well, it creates inflammation, which causes scar tissue formation, and then you get enough scar tissue in your colon, and you cut off your circulation, and then you start to lose tone, and then your colon is flabby, and it falls down. That's right, it falls down, and it prolapses. How many people do you see where their guts, their abdomen, is hanging down and out, and even over their belt? Okay, all right? Guess who got punched below the belt? All right, so understand something, everybody, and you need to get this, all right? It's either self-love or a self-hate program. And people don't believe that. But unless you're going to love yourself well, you're going to hate yourself all the way to hell. And that's the bottom line. Let me tell you something. This picture here, same age, but different choices. But understand something. You know what they say? We all have choice. I don't believe that. When we get here, we do not have a choice. From 0 to 7, okay, we are little sponges, and we are going to become what mommy and daddy are. We're going to have the moods they have, we're going to eat the foods they have, and we are going to get the illnesses they have. And not because it's genetic, it's because it's epigenetic, okay, because their beliefs become our beliefs. So we need to get that. So understand something, same age, different choices. So understand, today, you're going to get your choices. So, how to create an amazing life? Well, first of all, you've got to look at it this way. It's all about the mind, it's all about the body, and it's all about the spirit. And what we want to do for you, okay, this is what I've worked for 40 years, is to create the perfect day. Now, if you could create the perfect day and repeat that every day, understand something. Things are still going to go sideways. There's still going to be bumps in the road, quick right-hand turns, quick left-hand turns. But understand something. You're going to learn. You're not going to burn. You're going to stay connected to your breath, lion heart breathing, shoulders back, chin up. And you're going to understand that you decided to participate in the greatest adventure in the universe called Planet Earth, okay? Planet Earth, where guess what? Sometimes this is a life-threatening experience, but it's only for the ruled, schooled, and fooled. And I promise you that we're going to take you to the other side today. So let's get this. And this is factual. 70 to 90% of all your beliefs, okay, are formed from the age 0 to 7. And also, please understand this. You have no filter. You're a walking, talking, living little sponge, and you take everything in. Oh, that's how I eat? Oh, that's how I play with my brother and sister? Oh, is that how I treat myself? Oh, is that the way I act? Oh, is that the mood I need? Oh, is that the way I should have a tantrum? If I do this, I'll get this. If I don't do this, I won't get this. Let me tell you something. This is why we put together, okay, the perfect pain-free pregnancy. It's a master training for couples who want to learn how to love themselves and love each other so that they can raise the most beautiful, beautiful relationship with their self and their family. Because everybody says it's all about family. And you know what? Corporations, they're liar, pants on fire. They don't care about your family. They're selling your family off by the pound. And that's the reality. And understand something. You find me a functional family. You find me a functional couple. You find me someone who totally fills up their own heart and doesn't demand the love from everybody else, their family, the world, and that they fill up their own heart so that they don't get hurt, because hurt people hurt people. I make that my life, is to fill up my heart with love and shine that on everyone. And if you think that this is not the way to go, if you think this is selfish and you do not understand that we all have needs. And if you're not selfish enough to find out what the needs that you need to be looking after for yourself so that you do not hurt others, then there's going to be bumps along the road. Now, like I said, the invisible creates the physical, all right? You need to get this. The invisible creates the visible. The invisible creates the physical. Okay? It's not a condition, it's a program. Okay? Your physical sickness is from the program you run. My mother had breast cancer. I'm going to have breast cancer. My father had heart disease. I'm going to have heart disease. This is not true. They found out it's not true. It's not genetics. It's epigenetics. It was called the Genome Project. They spent multi-millions of dollars and found out it's not genetic. Disease is not genetic. Disease is a person who's not at ease. A disease is a person who's not at ease because they're running programs, okay, that are negative. And what that does is it causes chemicals and hormones that should never be pumped on a daily basis throughout the day continually. And you're tearing yourself apart. So let's get this. From a cane to a walker to a wheelchair to depends, okay, to the bed. No, I'm going to tell you something right now, and I need everybody to get this, okay? You've been programmed for the cane, for the walker, for the wheelchair, for the nursing home. And it stops here today. You go to a nursing home and go and sit down with everybody at breakfast. And what is everybody talking about? Who had a good poop? How much pain they're in? How constipated they are? How constipated they are from the drugs that they have to take because of the pain and inflammation they have. And how numbed out they are. And a lot of people, look at it's like this, okay? Don't tell me there's not a problem. 47% of all women leak urine. Got it? 8% of the population, okay, go number 2 in their pants. Understand this. When somebody starts to have a problem urinating and going to the bathroom, they're losing their life. And when somebody can no longer poo, they're on their way out. You need to get this. The biggest illness on this planet, people do not want to talk about it. It's called gut rot. You are rotting from the inside out, and it's from your large intestine. And you know what? There was a statement that 85% of all disease, and it was a study, I'll be talking about it, is created because of, all right, a bad bowel. And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe that it's like 95 to 98%, okay, on a physical level. But we know that everything physical was emotional first. We know that wherever you have pain and suffering in the body, it depends on the negative emotion that you run long enough and strong enough. And what are the combinations of the negative emotions that create certain illnesses? And I will be talking about that. And I'll be talking about that in the emotional intelligence of disease and healing. And that's another masterclass that I have done for you. And to prove my point that the game is rigged, take a look at this slide. The Royal Society of Medicine stated, okay, over 70 years ago, all right, that a dysfunctional bowel is responsible for 85% of all physical illness. Okay, so we know that 92% of the population today has an autoimmune disease, which means that the body is actually attacking itself. Now, the body could never attack itself unless there was a reason, there was an invader. Now, I want you to think about this, and I want you to keep things as logical as possible and understand something. That invader is because your large intestine has become a screen door in a submarine. Now, how would that work? Well, the submarine's going to sink, and so is your health. So understand something. The Royal Society of Medicine stated that 85% of all physical illness is caused because of a dysfunctional large intestine. Now, I need you to get this. They would never state that today, and I will prove that they wouldn't be allowed to state that today because Big Pharma has a chokehold on the whole medical industry because the medical industry works for Big Pharma. They actually don't work for you. So you need to get that. So, And let's also get something really, really straight here. There are no incurable diseases, only incurable people. Now, when I say there's no incurable diseases, there's only incurable people, you have to understand something. People are beautiful. It's their thoughts that aren't. People aren't bad, but it's their thoughts that can be bad. It's their programs that they're running. And understand something. We'll get into it to a certain degree, but not as deep as I probably would like to go. And that is that your subconscious is 90% of your mind. And the reality is you don't know it. And you also don't know that everything you ever learned, I mean, you do know, but, is it in your present moment? Is it in your conscious mind that everything that you've learned has only been learned through out of repetition? So that's why there's incurable people. Because until people think consciously in the present moment and start observing, not judging, but observing the way they eat, drink, and think, they're going down the drink. And you need to know that. Let me explain this a little more. So to prove my point, let's take a look at this slide. I'm not going to go into this in real great detail, but understand something. This is where it all begins, okay? So get this. Image creates thought. So what are the images that you have? Because I need you to understand something. Your life is a movie. And you're the director, you're the writer, you're the producer, and you're the leading star. And the choices that you make, whether you decide today is going to be a drama, a comedy, or where you are the superhero in this great adventure called your life, is going to be up to you. But the reality is people don't know that they have a choice, because you'll never know you have the choice until you realize you have to master your subconscious. And if you don't master your subconscious, then someone else is mastering you. So let's walk through this slide slowly. So we know that image creates thought. So before you ever have any thought, you have an image of it. That's right, you have an image of it. So what you imagine with your imagination, okay, is going to be your creation. So what you imagine with your imagination is going to end up being your creation. How's that working for you? You'll know, because at every given moment, you are writing the script of your life. So image creates thought. Now that thought would create what? Emotion. Okay, so that's called energy in motion, right? So the E stands for energy, and then we've got motion. So energy in motion is emotion. Now, emotion creates feelings, but where are those emotions? Are those emotions based under love, or are they based under fear, hate, anger? You have to be the one who creates what you have in your life, because it's your image that creates it. So emotion creates feelings, okay? So where are those feelings? Are they high vibrational? Are they low vibrational? You'll know, because guess what? If you've been diagnosed with what? Depression, then we know that all you've been doing is having bad images that create bad thoughts, that create bad emotions, that create bad feelings. And understand something. The only difference between you and someone else who creates good images or bad images is the programs that you've been taught from 0 to 7. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. 70 to 90% of the programs that you run, even though you could be 90 years old right now, are probably created from 0 to 7. You have to understand we're walking, talking little sponges. But here's the reality. If nobody told you you have to go in and rewrite those programs, that you have to do some gardening, that you've got to pull out those weeds, and you've got to plant beautiful images that create beautiful thoughts, that create beautiful emotions, that create beautiful feelings, then you would be creating the wrong frequency, wouldn't you? And understand something, everything is about light, energy, okay, and frequencies. So your feelings create a frequency. If the frequency is low or negative or high and positive, is going to make a big difference. Because guess what? The invisible creates the visible. The invisible creates the physical. Oh my God, right to a bowel movement, right to the burping, right to everything that you experience in your life. So now we know that a frequency can actually go in and trigger the chemical and hormones. Okay, now how's that happen? Well, because your brain is the chemist. Your brain is the editor. Your brain will edit things. Nope, nope, don't know that feeling. I don't know unconditional total love. Don't want it, don't want it. Your brain doesn't care if it's going to save your life or not. If it's new, it doesn't want it. It hates the future, can't stand the present, wants to live in the past. And you know that you cannot fix a problem from what you've learned in your past. You've got to learn something new to create something new. I think you get that part. And you got to create something new if you want to learn how to poo, okay? So you've got to have a change in your personality, to have a change in your reality, so in your physical well-being. So we know that the frequency goes in and it triggers the brain, and the brain releases the chemicals and hormones, okay? So this is very important for what we're going to be talking about. So the chemist, again, let's go through it one more time. Take a look at the slide. So the chemist is the brain. The brain releases chemicals and hormones depending on what the frequency is. If the frequency is a beautiful frequency based on love, and if it's based on unconditional love, then we're bringing on the joy, okay? So that would put you into a parasympathetic state. But if it is not based on love, if it is based on anger, hate, fear, depression, anxiety, then you're going to keep driving yourself into a sympathetic state. Now, parasympathetic state will put you into rest and restore. Okay, I think we all get that. Sympathetic state is going to create inflammation, crystallization, scar tissue formation, and eventually mutation. Now, you need to get this. If I was dumping adrenaline, okay, and cortisol into you, but mainly adrenaline, and I did that, and I kept dripping it all day long, that would be called anxiety, okay? If I dumped a whole bunch of adrenaline all at once, boom, that means that you're in some kind of trauma, drama, terror, right? So that means that, guess what? You need to run because there's a tiger. But the problem is, these are invisible tigers now, so you don't run anywhere. You just sit there and you allow this acid to drip into you and eat away at your body. And guess what? What's the main disease today? Autoimmune disease. What does that mean? The body is attacking itself? No, you are attacking yourself on an emotional level first, and then the chemistry that you've created is now attacking you on a physical level, and that is what causes the problem. So your brain will always become inflamed before any other part of your body does. And I'll be talking about that in the emotional chemistry of disease and healing masterclass, so you'll want to check that out. So you're either at ease or you are the disease, okay? So perception orchestrates chemistry. Perception orchestrates chemistry. Take a look at the bottom picture. Doesn't she just love herself? She's giving herself a hug. And don't forget, that's why I invented this. Braveheart 3, 2, 1, I got this. This is a hug. This is a kiss. This snaps me back to the present moment. We'll talk about that as we move on. But we definitely want to move on. We definitely want to let go. And that would be part of our constipation problem. If we don't learn to let go, okay, on an emotional level first, and we'll never let go on a physical level. So we know that perception orchestrates chemistry. So now, let's take a look at it. Love. What does love do? Well, love releases dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. It gives you joy. It creates healing because it puts you in a parasympathetic state. And understand something. Those hormones together spell dose. Are you getting your daily dose of love every day, every moment? Because if you were to know how to love yourself, care for yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself at every given moment, you would live the life that you were promised in those fairy tales. Because a beautiful life is not a fairy tale, but you have to become the master of your emotions, of your frequencies. So let's say that you're not. Well, then guess what? That's under the rule of hate, isn't it? Because you may not believe this, but I believe that you're either loving on yourself or hating on yourself. Okay, it's not like in between. So do you love yourself? Well, I don't really love myself, but no, there's no in between here, okay? And you may not be turning the burner up to full, but the reality is, even if the burner was on simmer, okay, you're going to become dehydrated and inflamed. Eventually, the water's going to leave that pot, okay? All right, so with hate, we release histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. And what does that do? That puts us into a flight, fight, fright, freeze situation. And that puts us into a sympathetic state. Now, understand something. At least back when we lived in the caves and there was actual tigers and dinosaurs that wanted to eat us, you know, we could run and burn off the histamine, the adrenaline, the cortisol. But because we sit at a desk mainly, or we're sitting watching TV and we're getting traumatized by the news, or we're sitting at the table having a coffee or a tea and the family's talking about how the end of the world's coming, we're not getting up and we're not moving. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it because it's going to eat you away, because these are acidic chemicals that were used for flight, fright, and run. So I hope you understand that, okay? Let's move on. So who's really in charge? Well, like I was saying is, guess what? Your conscious mind is only 10% of you. So your subconscious mind is 90% of you. So it's almost like the game was rigged, but I don't think God actually rigged it that way. It was actually to protect us. But the problem is back when we really needed the protection was when the wild animals and when we were being attacked in our villages or in our tents or in our caves or wherever we were. But the reality is today we're only getting really attacked by our own mind. We're the greatest terrorist on this planet, not some other country. And understand, second to our mind being the greatest terrorist, it would be the government. And second to that, it would be the people that actually run the government. And we don't need to get into that. But here's the deal. 90% of your mind is your subconscious, which means that it houses programs. And your subconscious doesn't care, like I said, if the programs are good, bad, sad, indifferent, doesn't matter. You know, and understand, your subconscious is not intelligent. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it is. Only if you have intelligent programs. And what would that be? Programs based on self-care, self-love, self-respect, self-honor, dignity, all of that. But the reality is, if you were raised, like almost everybody was, to believe that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, okay, and that you lack in so many ways, then you'll run programs, and those programs will keep you there forever. Understand something. This is why the elite are creating this thing called the Big C. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to mention the whole word in this show. But the reality is, it's not about that. It's about commerce. And the reality is look at how they've terrorized the majority of the population. And the majority of the population are either blowing out with diarrhea because they've been so constipated because they can't let go. They can't let go of this BS. So it's filling them up, and that BS being dysfunctional belief systems. And when you fill yourself up with BS, then things are going to stink inside and get really toxic on an emotional level, becomes a physical level. And then you're going to get diarrhea, because that is a safety mechanism to let go of the physical waste you've been holding on to and the emotional waste you've been holding on to, because the emotional creates the physical. The invisible creates the physical. The invisible creates the visible. I hope you're getting it. So your subconscious, otherwise your brain, because 90% of it is, will only be as intelligent as the programs that you run. So take a look at your mother and the father and the church that you go to, the school that you went to, the people you hang around with, the shows that you watch, the things that you eat and the things that you think, the things that you drink, the things that you do. Are you a being or a doing? You need to ask yourself that question, because that will be very important to decide how your life is truly going to go. So you need to get this. We are light energy beings. And being light energy beings that actually give off frequency and take frequencies in, watch out what frequency you take in. Watch out what you allow to come in. You need to have a filter. Look it. We must learn to feel our way through life. Okay? Not think it. Okay? Until you know that every belief in there is going to honor, respect, and love you totally, unconditionally. So just remember something, feelings create matter. So just know that you can stop this video and take a look. And these are actual slides, okay? These are slides. And it shows with using Kirlian photography and infrared where the heat is and what goes on for circulation in the body with different types of emotions, all right? So check that out. Okay. So remember something. So what we're really trying to get to here, and what we're really trying to do, is create the perfect day in every way. All right? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to Dock of Detox THUR.com/library and go there and click on the Perfect Day Guide. And then I'd like you to go into the Perfect Day Guide and go to, it's around page 30. And I want you to take a look at the Perfect Day Diet, the Perfect Day Emotional, and Perfect Day Exercise, and the Perfect Day Energy Medicine. Now, for me, I believe these to be the 4 pillars. Now, understand something. This is a template for you to work off of. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Take on only what's comfortable, but understand something. Don't push too fast and be obsessive like people can get. And the other thing is, but lovingly give yourself a push every day that you know that you're moving forward. Look at what I did today. Yes, it's more than I did yesterday. And tomorrow I will do more. We are infinite beings and we have unlimited potential. I need you to get that. It was stolen from you. You need to bring this back. Okay? So, in having unlimited potential, what I also want you to do is I'd like you to understand something. Go to my library again and take a look at the A to Z Wellness Guide and understand something. It's a scar tissue issue. I don't care if I do care, but no matter where in your body, whether it's your shoulder, whether it's an organ, whether it's a tendon, whether it's a ligament, whether it's a joint, whether it's a muscle, it doesn't matter. It's a scar tissue issue. And understand something. Today, in our society, we do not look at that. Now, whether you want to believe this or not, if you can't poop, you're in big trouble. And how well you poop and how healthy your poop is will decide your life on a daily basis. And I am not kidding. Now, you need to get this. Whether you believe this or not, most people cannot poop because there is so much scar tissue and adhesions in their abdomen and in their lower pelvis that's choking off their large intestine because it has been leaking so much infection for so long that the inflammation caused the scar tissue formation. And if you've ever had surgery on your abdomen or your lower pelvis, you need to know one thing. Surgery creates more scar tissue than anything else on this planet. So I'm not telling you not to have it. I'm telling you that your body overcompensates because that's a terrorizing situation when somebody takes a knife to you. So you're going to have a ton of scar tissue in there. So after you heal, you better have a Wolf non-surgical therapist to go in there and lovingly take that apart and show you how to get rid of it so that you can restore your circulation. Because if you don't, you're going to have degeneration of tissue and mutation of tissue. Don't believe me. You'll go from surgery to surgery because you can feel that hard lump down there. You can feel the twisting and the pulling. Okay, so these are adhesions. You don't have to have surgery to have them, but you will have tons of them. One surgery can ruin your life if you don't get rid of that scar tissue issue. And you will not be able to poop or pee right. Or for women, make love properly. Or you'll have bladder infections all the time. You'll know what I'm talking about. You'll have low back problems all the time. And understand something, we're going to move on here. But you need to get this. 95 to 98% of all low back problems are because you've got an abdominal problem, because you've got a large intestinal problem. You think I'm kidding? Okay. Well, I will be explaining it in other master classes. But the reality is that screen door that you have for a large intestine is leaking waste. Where do you think it is? It's in around L4 and L5 where most back surgeries occur. And what do you think? You're not going to have kidney problems when you don't have colon problems? When your colon, okay, which is supposed to be what? It's supposed to be what? Your sewer system and the major part of your immune system becomes a cesspool. And when that cesspool starts to leak like a screen door in a submarine, you don't think it's going to infect and inflame everywhere and even cause you to even have hip surgery or prostate problems, uterine problems, bladder problems, ovarian problems, I can't get pregnant, fibroids, cysts, all of that. It all comes from there. And I will have anyone, anywhere, come on. I would love to go and have a debate on this if someone feels differently. Because remember something. BS baffles brains. Dysfunctional belief systems. But I will tell you something. Get logical. That which created us, our creator of the universe, made everything logical. Man has manipulated everything and confused the whole situation. This is the end of part 2. The invisible creates the physical. We will see you in part 3, the law of repetition.